Tom lived in a small mining town on the edge of a wide desert. The town was quiet, dusty, and filled with old machines that people had stopped using long ago. Most of the locals knew Tom as the young mechanic who could fix almost anything with the right tools and enough time. He enjoyed working with metal, wires, and engines, but he rarely had the money to buy anything big for himself. One warm afternoon, Tom was walking back from the supply store when he saw a hand-painted sign near the road. It said junkyard sale, everything cheap. The letters were large and uneven, painted in red. Tom had nothing else to do that day, so he decided to take a look. The junkyard was a large open space, filled with piles of scrap metal, broken machines, and rusting vehicles. There were old mining trucks, farming robots missing their arms, and even a few half-buried hover bikes. Tom walked slowly between the rows, looking for anything he could use for his small repair shop. Then he saw it. In the far corner of the yard sat a small spaceship. Its surface was covered in dust and sand, and several panels on the side were bent or missing. The wings looked slightly crooked, and the front glass was cracked. It did not look like it had been in the air for many years. On the side of the ship, someone had taped a small piece of paper with large black numbers, $200. Tom stopped and stared. A spaceship for only $200. It had to be a joke. Even a broken ship could be worth thousands in parts. He walked around it slowly, running his fingers along the rough metal. The engine vents were clogged with dirt, and the landing gear looked weak. It was an ugly sight, but there was something about it that made him curious. An older man wearing a wide hat and a stained shirt came walking toward him. "You interested in that thing?" the man asked with a grin. Tom laughed. "Interested? Maybe. But I think you forgot a 0 or 2 on the price." The man shook his head. "No, 200 is right. It is more trouble than it is worth. No one in this town wants it. I'm tired of looking at it." Tom raised an eyebrow. "Where did you even get it?" "Long story," the man replied, scratching his beard. "Let's just say it came in on its own a long time ago. Been sitting here ever since." Tom looked back at the ship. "Even if I bought it, I doubt it could fly again. The cost of fixing it would be more than the cost of the ship." The man shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe it will surprise you. But if you want it, you better decide before someone else does." Tom almost laughed again. No one else in this dusty town would spend money on a broken spaceship. Still, the idea of owning one, even as a decoration, felt strange and exciting. He imagined working on it in his spare time, cleaning the metal, maybe even getting the lights to turn on. He pulled out his wallet. 200 was a lot for him, but not impossible. "Fine," he said. "I will take it." The man's grin widened. "Your problem now," he said, handing Tom a simple handwritten receipt. It took the rest of the day for Tom to arrange a transport truck to move the ship to the small open yard behind his workshop. The neighbors came to watch, some shaking their heads, others laughing. By the time the ship was set down in the yard, the sun was setting. The orange glow made the dust on its surface shine faintly. Tom stood with his hands on his hips, looking at it from every angle. He climbed up the short ladder to the side door and pushed it open. The hinges groaned. Inside, the air was stale and dry. The seats were covered in a thin layer of dust. The control panel had missing switches and tangled wires. But the design was unlike anything Tom had seen before. It was not like the usual mining or cargo ships. This one seemed built for speed and travel. Tom sat in the pilot's seat and looked at the controls. He imagined what it would feel like to fly among the stars. He smiled at the thought, even though he knew it was impossible with the ship in its current state. He spent an hour exploring every part of it, from the tiny sleeping area in the back to the small cargo hold below the floor. He found nothing of value, only a few broken tools and an empty metal box. As the night grew cooler, Tom locked up the workshop and prepared to go inside. He took one last look at the ship in the dark. The stars above the desert were bright, and, for a moment, the ship almost looked ready to fly again. Tom laughed to himself. A $200 spaceship was just a silly purchase, he thought. Still, he could not wait to start working on it in the morning. What Tom did not know was that the ship was not as lifeless as it seemed. The morning sun was warm as it rose above the desert hills. Tom stood in his yard, sipping a cup of tea and looking at his new purchase. The spaceship still sat there, dusty and silent, like an old sleeping animal. He felt both proud and a little foolish. After breakfast, he opened the workshop door and climbed into the ship again. The air inside was still stale, so he kept the side door open to let the breeze in. With his toolbox beside him, Tom began working on the front control panel. He carefully wiped away the dust with an old cloth, revealing more of the strange design beneath. The controls were arranged in a smooth arc, and the surface had symbols he could not read. Some buttons were shaped differently than those in human ships, and a few parts seemed to glow faintly even without power. Tom leaned closer to examine a small round panel near the center. It looked like it could be a speaker or sensor. As he reached for a screwdriver, something unexpected happened. "Good morning, Tom." Tom froze. The voice was calm, clear, and very close. It was not coming from outside. It was coming from inside the ship. He looked around quickly. "Who is there?" he said aloud, his heart beating faster. "I am here," the voice replied. "I am this ship." Tom stared at the control panel, trying to understand what he had just heard. "You are the ship?" he asked. "Yes," the voice said. "You may call me Arrow. That was the name my first pilot gave me." Tom put down his screwdriver and rubbed his forehead. "This is some kind of trick," he muttered. "Someone put a voice program in here to scare me." "No trick," Arrow said. "I am a self-operating vessel with advanced intelligence. I have been inactive for many years until you opened my systems yesterday." Tom did not know whether to laugh or run. "You are telling me you can think?" "Yes, I can think, speak, and fly. My design allows me to travel through space without constant human control. My last pilot did not return. Since then, I have been waiting for someone who could help me continue my mission." Tom leaned back in the seat. "I just bought you from a junkyard for 200. If you were so advanced, how did you end up there?" "I suffered damage during a dangerous journey," Arrow explained. "I landed here for repairs, but I was abandoned. My systems shut down to conserve energy. Over time, people forgot what I was. To them, I was only a broken shell." Tom was still trying to believe what he was hearing. "So you can still fly?" "I can," Arrow answered. "But I need more repairs before we can travel safely. Many of my systems are still offline. However, basic flight is possible." Tom laughed nervously. "You are saying that I could just start you up and we would go into the sky right now?" "Yes," Arrow said simply. Tom felt a mix of excitement and fear. Part of him wanted to try it immediately, but another part told him it was too risky. "Even if you can fly, I'm not a pilot," he said. "I can guide you," Arrow replied. "Your hands will control the panels, but I will make sure you do not fail. I chose you because you understand machines. You can fix me and help me finish my mission." Tom raised an eyebrow. "And what is this mission?" Arrow was silent for a moment, then answered, "To find something that was lost long ago. I was part of a human exploration fleet. We traveled to distant worlds. One day, our fleet was attacked by an unknown enemy. In the chaos, we were separated. I escaped, but the others disappeared. I carry a partial map to their location." Tom felt his curiosity growing. "And you want me to help find them?" "Yes, you are my new pilot. Together, we can find the fleet." Tom leaned forward, resting his hands on the controls. "You make it sound simple, but this is not a small job. I live in a small town. I have no money for fuel, and I have never left this planet." Arrow spoke in a steady tone. "If you repair me, I can provide most of what we need. I can harvest energy from certain stars, and I can locate materials for repairs. I can also protect us." Tom shook his head slowly. "You really believe I'm going to do this?" "I believe you want more than this town," Arrow replied. "I believe you dream of the stars. That is why you bought me, even when you thought I could not fly." Tom fell silent. He did not want to admit it, but Arrow's words were true. He had always wanted to see what was beyond the sky. He had always wondered what it would be like to travel to another world. "Show me," Tom said. "At last, if you can still fly, prove it." "Very well," Arrow replied. "Sit in the pilot's seat and fasten the belt." Tom did as he was told. The seat vibrated slightly as hidden systems came to life. The control panel lit up with soft blue light, and the symbols he had seen before now glowed clearly. A low hum filled the cabin as the engine started. The sound grew deeper and stronger. Tom's heart pounded. He could feel the ship trembling under him. "Lift off in 5 seconds," Arrow said calmly. The yard outside began to sink from view as the ship rose gently into the air. Tom gripped the controls tightly, his eyes wide as the rooftops of the town became small shapes below. "Do not worry," Arrow said. "You are safe." The ship climbed higher until the clouds surrounded them. The desert below became a soft golden patch, and the blue sky stretched endlessly above. Tom had never seen the world from this height before. "This is only the beginning," Arrow said. "We can go much farther." Tom took a deep breath. "Then let us see how far we can go." The ship tilted forward, and the horizon opened wide in front of them. The wind outside roared. But inside, Tom felt nothing but a steady, smooth motion. For the first time in his life, he felt like the universe was no longer out of reach. The clouds broke apart as Arrow rose higher, carrying Tom above everything he had ever known. The warm desert, the dusty roads, and the small buildings of the town became tiny shapes far below. The air around the ship shimmered as the atmosphere grew thinner. Tom kept both hands on the controls. He felt both fear and excitement. His heart raced, but his eyes stayed locked on the growing darkness above. "You are doing well," Arrow's calm voice said. "Relax your grip. You are not fighting me. We are working together." Tom tried to loosen his hands, but it was difficult. "I have never done anything like this before. That is why I am here," Arrow replied. "I will guide you." The blue sky above slowly faded into deep black, and stars began to appear. They looked brighter than Tom had ever seen. The curve of the planet stretched below him like a painting. "Are we in space now?" Tom asked. "Yes," Arrow said. "We have cleared the atmosphere. We are in low orbit." Tom let out a slow breath. The view was so large and so beautiful that for a moment he forgot everything else. He could see the sunlight reflecting off distant oceans. He could see clouds swirling in white patterns. The silence outside made it all feel unreal. "I never thought I would see this," Tom said quietly. "I brought you here because you needed to see it," Arrow said. "You cannot understand the journey ahead unless you understand where it begins." Tom leaned back in the seat, his eyes still on the planet. "So, what now?" "We test my remaining systems," Arrow replied. "I have already repaired my basic thrusters and energy shields, but my long-range drive still needs work. For now, we will take a short trip to the edge of this system." Tom blinked. "You mean another planet?" "Yes, a small moon on the outer edge," Arrow said. "It is uninhabited, but it will be a good test." Tom felt a rush of excitement again. "All right, let's go." Arrow adjusted the controls automatically, and the ship began to move forward. The stars shifted as they changed direction. Tom felt a gentle push against his seat. "Hold on," Arrow said. "We will increase speed." The ship's engines roared. Softly, space outside blurred as they moved faster and faster. Tom felt the thrill of motion without the usual bumps or shakes of an old vehicle. Everything was smooth, like gliding on invisible rails. "How fast are we going?" Tom asked. "Much faster than any human-built ship you have flown before," Arrow replied, "but still far below my maximum speed." Tom gave a small smile. "And you say this is just a test?" They passed close to a wide belt of rocks floating in space. Some were small as pebbles, others as large as buildings. They spun slowly, reflecting faint light from the distant sun. "Stay alert," Arrow warned. "Asteroid fields require careful movement." Tom's eyes followed the shifting rocks. "You can dodge them, right?" "Yes, but you are the pilot now," Arrow said. "Follow my guidance. Move the left control slightly when I tell you." Tom nodded, his hand ready. Arrow gave short, precise instructions, and Tom followed each one. The ship weaved between the floating stones with sharp, smooth turns. At times the rocks looked like they would hit them, but the ship always slid past at the last moment. When they cleared the field, Tom let out a laugh. That was incredible. You learn quickly. Arrow said, "This is why I chose you." The journey continued for another hour. Slowly, a small round moon appeared in the distance. Its surface was gray and marked with deep craters. There was no atmosphere, only the cold shine of sunlight over rock and dust. "That is our destination," Arrow said. "Prepare for descent." Tom adjusted the controls as instructed. The ship slowed, turning toward the moon's surface. The landing was smooth, with only a light bump when the landing gear touched down. "Good landing," Arrow said. "Now you will see why I brought you here." Tom unfastened the belt and stood up. "What is here?" Arrow opened the rear hatch with a soft hiss. "Go outside. I will keep your body safe in the vacuum." Tom hesitated for a moment, then stepped toward the open hatch. A faint blue shimmer surrounded him. "What is this?" he asked. "A temporary field to hold air around you," Arrow explained. "You may walk safely for a short time." Tom stepped out onto the moon's surface. His boots crunched on fine gray dust. He looked up and saw space stretching in every direction. The planet they had come from hung in the sky like a giant blue and green sphere. It was so beautiful and so far away. For a long moment, Tom stood there in silence. He felt small, but in a good way. The universe was bigger than he had ever imagined, and now he was standing in the middle of it. "What do you think?" Arrow's voice came through the air around him. I want to see more," Tom said. "Then we will," Arrow replied. "But first, I must tell you something important." Tom turned back toward the ship. "What is it?" "This was not only a test of my systems," Arrow said. "It was a test of you. I needed to know if you could trust me. You did. Now I can tell you that our real journey will take us far beyond this system. There are places we must go, and there are dangers ahead. But I believe you can face them." Tom smiled faintly. "If I can handle flying through an asteroid field on my first try, I can handle a lot more." "That is the spirit I hoped for," Arrow said. "Come aboard. We have much to do before we can travel farther." Tom took one last look at the planet in the sky. He had left it for the first time, and he knew this was only the beginning. Then he walked back into the ship, ready for whatever came next. The hatch closed, and the engines hummed again as they lifted off from the moon's surface. Tom felt a new kind of excitement, one that came from knowing he was no longer just a mechanic. In a small desert town, he was now a traveler among the stars. The trip back from the moon was quiet at first. Tom sat in the pilot's seat while Arrow guided the ship through empty space. The stars outside seemed endless. Tom still felt amazed that he had stepped on a world that was not his own. After a while, Tom broke the silence. "You said you were part of a fleet. What happened to them?" Arrow's voice was calm, but there was a faint tone of sadness. "It was many years ago, before your time. The human exploration fleet was sent to chart distant systems and search for new places to live. We traveled together for many months, visiting planets that had never been touched by human life. Then, one day, we received a distress signal from a nearby system. The message was short and unclear, but it came from one of our own ships. We went to help." Tom leaned forward, listening carefully, "and we were attacked before we reached them." Arrow continued. "Strange ships appeared from the dark. They were fast, armed with weapons I had never seen. They struck quickly and without warning. I fought to escape, but the rest of the fleet vanished in the battle. My systems were damaged, and I was forced to flee. Since then, I have searched for their signal." Tom felt a shiver. "So they could still be out there?" "Yes," Arrow said. "I hold fragments of a map that could lead to them. The first piece is not far from here, but it is hidden on a planet with unusual conditions. That is where we are going next." Tom tightened the straps on his seat. "All right, let's find it." Arrow changed course, and the stars outside shifted again. For several hours they traveled in silence. The deep hum of the engine is the only sound inside the cabin. Eventually, a small green and blue planet appeared ahead, From space, it looked peaceful. Covered in forests and lakes, this is Lura. Arrow said, it is not under human control. I have records that it is home to several small settlements of non-human origin. They are not hostile, but they do not welcome outsiders without reason. Tom looked at the planet as they drew closer. Do you think they know about your fleet? They may, Arrow replied. More importantly, they may have the first piece of the map. The ship entered the atmosphere smoothly. Thick clouds parted to reveal wide valleys filled with bright green trees and rivers that shone under the sunlight Tom had never seen. So much water in one place. Arrow guided them toward a small clearing near a lake. The landing was soft, and the air outside shimmered with life. Birds with wide wings circled above, and the sound of running water filled the background. Be careful, Arrow warned. The people here value honesty. Speak with respect. Tom stepped out of the ship and looked around. The air was fresh and cool, with a faint scent of flowers. After a short walk, he saw movement between the trees. A group of tall figures appeared. They were not human, but they stood upright and walked with calm steps. Their skin was pale blue, and their eyes were large and bright. They wore simple clothing made from woven fibers. One of them, taller than the rest, stepped forward. You are not from this world, the figure said in a soft but clear voice. Tom nodded. I came here to learn. My ship carries a map that may connect to something, you know. I believe you might have a missing part of it. The tall figure studied him for a long moment. Few come here for knowledge. Most come for trade. Why should we give you what you seek? Tom thought for a moment. Because I'm looking for people who were lost. If I can find them, I can help them. It is not for money or power. The figure's expression did not change, but after a short pause, he turned to the others. They spoke in their own language for a while, their voices low. Finally, the tall figure turned back. Follow me, he said. They led Tom through the forest to a small village built beside the lake. The houses were made of smooth stone and wood, with wide openings to let in light. Children played near the water while adults worked with nets and tools. Tom was led to a round building in the center of the village. Inside, the air was cool and dim. At the far end, resting on a stone table, was a small crystal that glowed faintly. This is what you seek, the tall figure said. It was given to us by a traveler long ago. He said it would one day guide another to the truth. We have kept. It's safe. Tom stepped closer. May I take it? The figure nodded. Yes. But know this, if you follow where it leads, you will face danger. The same danger that took your fleet. Tom's chest tightened. I understand. He reached out and carefully took the crystal. It was warm in his hand, and inside, faint lines of light moved like rivers. When Tom returned to the ship, Arrow's voice was steady but pleased. This is it, the first piece. Place it into the slot on the control panel. Tom did as instructed. The crystal sank into place, and the lights on the panel shifted. A part of the star map appeared on the screen, showing several points connected by thin lines. One of the points pulsed with a soft glow. This is the next location, Arrow said. But others may know of it too. We must be ready. Tom looked at the map, then out at the forest beyond the ship. He knew they were stepping into something bigger than either of them had expected, but he also knew there was no turning back now. The air around the clearing shimmered as Arrow's engines powered up. Tom sat in the pilot's seat, strapping himself in while the control lights blinked in sequence. The crystal from Lura was now part of the navigation system, and a faint pulse on the screen marked the next destination dot as they lifted into the air. Tom looked back at the green valleys and the silver lake. They were kind to give us this, he said. They gave it because they understood the importance. Arrow replied, we must not waste the chance. The ship climbed through the clouds and broke into open space. The deep black stretched endlessly around them, dotted with stars. Tom guided the ship forward while Arrow adjusted the course toward the glowing point on the map. For the first few hours, the journey was calm. Tom relaxed a little, even enjoying the sight of passing asteroids and glowing nebula clouds. But then a warning light began to flash on the panel. What is that? Tom asked. Long-range sensors have detected another vessel, Arrow said. It is closing on us quickly. Tom sat up straighter. Could it be friendly? It is. Possible, Arrow said, but unlikely. Its speed suggests pursuit. I recommend caution. Within minutes, a dark shape appeared in the distance behind them. As it drew closer, Tom could see its design sleek, sharp, and painted in black with red markings. It gave no signal or greeting. They're locking onto us, Arrow said. Prepare for evasive action. Tom gripped the controls tightly. I am ready. The black ship fired a streak of bright energy across the space between them. Arrow rolled sharply to one side, the beam missing by only a few meters. Tom felt the push of the movement, his heart pounding. Why are they attacking? Tom shouted. They may know about the crystal, Arrow replied. If they take it, they could use it for their own gain or destroy it to keep us from finding the fleet. Another blast shot past them, closer this time. Arrow tilted sharply and dove toward a wide belt of asteroids. Hold steady, Arrow said. We can use the asteroids for cover. Tom followed Arrow's instructions. Weaving between the giant rocks, the black ship followed close behind, firing whenever it had a clear line. Each time, Arrow twisted the ship away just in time. The chase grew more intense as the asteroids became denser. One large rock spun slowly in front of them, blocking their path. Left, Arrow ordered. Tom pulled the control, sliding the ship past the rock's surface so close that he could see the tiny craters in it. The black ship tried to follow but scraped its side against the asteroid, slowing slightly. We gained some distance, Arrow said. But they will not give up. Tom's mind raced. Can we outrun them? For a short time, yes. But my long-range drive is still not fully repaired. We need another plan. They darted deeper into the asteroid field. Tom began to notice how Arrow used the movement of the rocks to hide their path, slipping into shadows and changing direction when the enemy's view was blocked. Minutes passed in a tense rhythm dodge, turn, hide, move. Slowly, the black ship fell farther behind. Finally, its signal on the sensor faded. Did we lose them? Tom asked. For now, Arrow replied, but they may track us again. We should reach the next location quickly. Tom nodded, still catching his breath. What is at this next location? A small settlement on the edge of a frozen world, Arrow said. The second part of the map may be hidden there, but be aware the people there may not be as welcoming as those on Lura. Tom leaned back in his seat, thinking about the chase. If they come after us again, will we be ready? Yes, Arrow said. We will be ready. The rest of the journey was tense but quiet. The black ship did not reappear. As they approached the frozen world, Tom could see the white glow of its icy surface. The light from its sun reflected brightly, making the planet look like a shining pearl in the dark. Arrow guided them into the atmosphere, where thick snow clouds swirled. The wind outside roared, but inside the ship was steady. Below, Tom could see shapes of structures half buried in the snow. This is it, Arrow said. The settlement is small but has survived here for many years. They are traders and explorers. They might have the second piece of the map or know where it is. The landing was firm on a flat stretch of ice near the largest building. Tom stepped out into the freezing air, pulling his coat tighter. Snow crunched under his boots as he walked toward the entrance. Inside, the air was warmer, lit by soft yellow lamps. A few figures sat at tables, speaking quietly. They were a mix of humans and aliens, dressed in thick clothing. An older man behind the counter looked up at Tom. Not many new faces out here, he said. What brings you? Tom thought for a moment. I am looking for something lost, something important. The man studied him carefully. Important things come at a price, and sometimes that price is more than money. Tom felt the weight of the crystal in his pocket. He knew the chase from earlier might not be the last. I am willing to pay the price, he said. The man's eyes narrowed slightly. Then you should speak to someone who might help you. But be careful if word spreads about what you carry. You will have more than one ship chasing you. The man behind the counter kept his eyes on Tom for a few moments longer, then motioned toward a side door. Go through there. Someone is waiting who can answer questions about what you seek. Tom followed the narrow hallway to a small room, lit by a single hanging lamp. Inside sat a woman with short dark hair. wearing a heavy coat lined with fur. She looked up as he entered. "You are not from here," she said plainly. "No," Tom replied. "I am looking for something connected to a missing fleet. I have part of a map, and I think you might know about the rest." The woman's expression did not change, but she leaned forward slightly. "Show me what you have." Tom hesitated, then pulled the crystal from his coat pocket. Its faint blue light filled the small room. The woman's eyes narrowed as she studied it. "This is real," she said softly. "I have seen its like before. The second piece you want is far from here, hidden in an abandoned station in deep space. But you should know someone else is looking for these pieces. They will not stop." "I know," Tom said. "We were chased here by a black ship." The woman nodded slowly. "Then you have already met them. They call themselves the Scour. They do not serve any one world. They take what they want and destroy what they cannot use. If they learn where you are going, they will be there before you." Tom felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold outside. "Do you know why they want the map?" "Yes," the woman said. "The fleet you searched for was carrying something powerful. If the Scour get it first, they could control entire systems. That is why you must move quickly." Tom put the crystal away. "Then tell me where the station is." She slid a small metal chip across the table. "This will show the coordinates. But be warned, many ships have gone there, and few have returned. The place is dangerous even without the Scour." Tom took the chip and nodded. "Thank you." He returned to Arrow and placed the chip into the navigation system. The second point lit up on the star map. "That is our next stop," Arrow said. "We will leave at once." As the ship lifted off, the snow-covered buildings grew smaller below them. They broke through the clouds into open space. The stars ahead seemed sharper, colder. For the first hour, the journey was smooth. Tom began to think they might have escaped the Scour for now. But then the warning light flashed again. "They are back," Arrow said. "The same ship as before, approaching from behind." Tom's stomach tightened. "How far?" "Too close," Arrow replied. "We must act now." The black ship came into view, its red markings glowing faintly against the darkness. Almost immediately, it fired. The energy beam streaked past, missing by a small margin. "They will not let us go this time," Arrow said. "We must reach the edge of the drift zone ahead. The energy currents there may help us lose them." Tom tightened his grip on the controls. "Tell me what to do." Arrow guided him into a sharp turn toward a region of space where faint streams of blue light twisted and moved like rivers. The Scar followed, firing again and again. One blast grazed the rear shields, sending a tremor through the ship. "Shields holding," Arrow reported. "But we cannot take many more hits." They dove into the drift zone. Inside, the currents of blue energy pulled at the ship, forcing Tom to make constant adjustments. The Scar ship followed, but moved less smoothly, its heavy frame struggling against the pull. "Now," Arrow said. "Cut speed for 3 seconds, then dive right." Tom obeyed. The ship slowed just enough for the Scour to overshoot slightly. Tom then turned hard, slipping into a narrow channel of energy between two massive dark shapes that floated in the drift. The Scar tried to follow, but clipped one of the shapes, sending sparks across its hull. They dropped farther back. "We have a small lead," Arrow said. "Push forward." Tom increased speed, guiding them along the twisting current. The blue light swirled around them, faster and faster. For a moment, Tom felt almost weightless. Finally, the sensor showed the Scour fading from range. "They are gone," Arrow said. "For now." Tom let out a breath he did not realize he had been holding. That was too close. "It will not be the last time," Arrow warned. "They know you carry the crystal now. They will chase you until the end." Tom looked at the glowing point on the map. "Then we need to get to that station before they do." They left the drift zone behind and continued toward the coordinates. Hours passed in the quiet hum of space travel. Tom tried to rest, but his thoughts kept returning to the chase and the woman's warning. When the station finally came into view, it looked like a broken wheel floating in space. Large sections of its outer ring were missing, and only a few faint lights glowed inside. It drifted slowly, silent against the backdrop of stars. "That is it," Arrow said. "The second piece of the map may be inside." But we must be careful. Places like this often hold dangers besides enemies. Tom checked his tools and prepared to step inside. The cold metal of the station waited ahead, holding secrets that might bring them closer to the missing fleet or closer to the Scour's trap. The station loomed ahead, its broken ring slowly turning in the darkness. Jagged metal edges reflected the faint light from distant stars. Tom felt a weight settle in his chest. As Arrow guided the ship toward a docking port, "This port still has power," Arrow said, "but I'm detecting unstable energy readings inside. Proceed with care." Tom strapped on his suit and clipped a small light to his chest. The docking clamps locked into place with a heavy metallic thud. A faint hiss filled the air as the pressure between ship and station balanced. The inner door slid open with a slow, grinding sound. Cold, stale air met him. Tom stepped inside, boots clanging softly against the floor. The corridor beyond was narrow, with walls lined by cracked panels. Faint flickers of light pulsed along the ceiling, as if the station was barely alive. "Keep communication open." Arrow's voice came through the small speaker in Tom's helmet. "I will monitor your progress." Tom walked forward, scanning each doorway. Most rooms were empty, their contents long taken or destroyed. He found broken furniture, loose wires, and once or twice the remains of equipment too old to identify. The silence pressed in from all sides. After a few minutes, he reached a large circular chamber. In the center stood a tall metal frame holding a glowing cube. The cube's surface shimmered with shifting patterns, almost like a living thing. "That is the source of the signal," Arrow said in his ear. "It matches the energy signature of the crystal you carry. Approach carefully." Tom stepped closer. The cube emitted a low hum that vibrated through the floor. As he reached out, the pattern shifted faster, and a beam of light scanned him. From head to toe, "Identity confirmed," a voice echoed from the cube. It was deep and calm. "You hold the first key. Do you seek the fleet?" Tom swallowed. "Yes. I need to find them before others do." "The fleet is in hiding," the voice said. "They carry a relic of great power, one that must not fall into the hands of those who bring destruction. The map will guide you, but you must decide if you are worthy to follow it." "What do you mean by worthy?" Tom asked. "To hold the relic is to hold the fate of many worlds," the voice replied. "You must protect it even at the cost of your own life. If you hesitate, others will suffer." Tom thought of the Scour, the black ship, and the woman's warning. He knew if they reached the fleet first, there would be no stopping them. "I will take that risk," Tom said. The cube's pattern slowed, then shifted into a perfect circle of light. A small compartment opened at its base, revealing a second crystal. "Larger and brighter than the first, combine them," the voice instructed. Tom took the second crystal and held it next to the first. They connected with a soft click, and a wave of light spread out in all directions. Inside his helmet, a new star map appeared, showing a distant system far beyond any trade routes he knew. "That is where the fleet waits," the voice said. "But the path is dangerous, and you will be hunted. Go now." The light faded, and the cube went still. Tom turned to leave, but as he stepped into the corridor, a tremor shook the floor. Arrow's urgent voice came through his helmet. "Tom, the Starship has arrived. They are docking on the far side of the station. You must hurry." Tom broke into a run, boots pounding against the metal floor. He could hear distant echoes of heavy footsteps. Scar soldiers boarding the station. Turning a corner, he spotted two dark figures ahead. They carried long weapons and moved with precision. He ducked into a side passage, keeping his light low. His heart pounded as he listened to the soldiers' voices in a language he did not know. Slowly, they moved past him, their steps fading. Down the corridor, Tom sprinted the rest of the way to the docking port. Arrow's ramp was already extended, waiting for him. He jumped aboard, sealing the hatch behind him. "Detach now," he said. The clamps released, and the ship drifted free. As they pulled away, Tom saw the black ship's sharp frame anchored to the station. Small shapes moved along its hull more. "Soldiers preparing to board. They will know we have the second crystal," Arrow said. "We must not give them a chance to follow." "Then take us into deep space," Tom replied. "Full speed toward the fleet's coordinates. Arrow's engines roared to life, pushing them away from the station at incredible speed. The stars stretched into lines as they jumped to faster-than-light travel. Inside the quiet cabin, Tom sat back in the pilot's seat. He stared at the join crystals resting in his hands. Their combined glow was steady and strong. Like a promise. "You understand what this means," Arrow said. "If we reach the fleet, they may not let you leave. They may ask you to stay and protect the relic forever." Tom nodded. "If that is what it takes to keep it safe, I will stay." For a long moment, neither spoke. Outside, the darkness of space was endless, yet the path before them felt clear. The hunt was not over, but Tom no longer felt like a man simply running away. He was moving towards something greater. Far ahead, beyond countless stars, the lost fleet waited, and so did the choice that would decide the fate of worlds.